Hey guys, so today I'm going to be doing a video of the top 5 beginner, budget, whatever you want to say, knife maker tools. So this is something that I was really looking for whenever I got into knife making, and I couldn't really find anything. You know, there is budget tools, but this is going to be 5 tools that are pretty much essential if you're getting into knife making. So this is not going to include something like a 2x72 grinder that's thousands of dollars, but it will include more budget options that can get you a similar or, you know, close result to those more expensive tools. But with these 5 tools, you'll be able to get all of your knife making done, at least in the beginning. I've made maybe 20, 25, 30 knives now. With these tools, I've felt that progression of having basically no tools at all, and then slowly building up to a little bit of what I would consider more of a shop. It's still not, you know, I'm not mass producing knives in bulk, but I do make them fairly regularly and with pretty good ease using this equipment, and it was relatively cheap. So I'm going to start off with the 5th best and then work all the way up to the number 1. By the time we're done, you'll be able to make a full knife, and I'll try and kind of throw in a price estimate as we go. But I hope you guys enjoy. If you want to check out the knives I've made previously with these tools, by the way, you can check out my YouTube channel. I have plenty more videos on there and more to come. So I hope you guys enjoy this, and I'll see you in a minute. So just another real quick disclaimer, I will not be including any kind of personal protective equipment such as a leather apron, hearing protection, that kind of stuff, you know, masks. That's kind of a given. So I don't really include that as tools. It's more so just kind of a given. But if you do want, that's important stuff. So let's jump right into it. Coming in at number 5, the least important, but also, you know, it's still very important, is a set of files. So these are files I've acquired just over the last however long. Some big, some small. You want a variety so that you can kind of, you know, get into smaller spaces. Some of them that are better, more aggressive for like hogging off, you know, a lot of material. And some of them, you know, maybe like this little chainsaw file that are good for doing little choils and you know, stuff like that, hard to reach spaces. Files will also be very handy whenever you're dealing with hardwoods. If you're putting on a handle like maybe a hickory or, you know, even walnut or some exotic woods, sometimes it's good to have a rasp or a file or something like that because it'll really move material and kind of really personal. It's more like with a grinder you might hog off way too much, way too fast. But with files you can, and I've done this and it's not very fun, so I don't really recommend it, but I've pretty much done an entire knife between shaping it, like just everything, shaping it, beveling it, all that stuff with just a file. So you can pretty much, I mean, outside of heat treat, you can pretty much do everything you need with a knife using just a file. You'd have to have a lot of patience though. So files come in at number 5. So next, number 4, this might be a surprise to some, but you really can't make a knife without these, is just going to be a variety of clamps. So I'm using C-clamps most of the time whenever I do stuff. Keep an eye out just for anything on this list at maybe a resale store. Just check if you can get it in decent condition. But just a variety. You don't have to have like 45. The more the better, obviously, but clamps are good. Even some of these smaller little pinch clamps, whatever you want to call these things, will work. And you can rig up a lot of stuff. I've seen people make, you know, kind of like a makeshift vise before where you clamp a clamp in a clamp and yada yada. But these are essential. There's not much to say about them, but you really can't do it without these. Coming in at number 3, this one might not be a surprise to you, but a drill of some sort. So I use this cheap old Panasonic hand drill. This is 15 volts. The newer ones are more like 18, I think 24 volts, stuff like that. This is going to be essential if you ever want to put a wooden handle with pins on a knife. You can get away with doing knives that are paracord wraps, and some people do handle scales with no pins, but pins really add a lot of integrity to your knife. So a drill, there's no way to do it without a drill, right? I guess you could theoretically do a bit and brace, but again, way more patience than I have. This is going to be well worth the time. There's other stuff you can do if you don't have a Dremel or you don't have certain other things. You can chuck up you know, a piece of sandpaper in here, and you can use this kind of as a Dremel to sort of get into those hard to reach places, but a drill is another one you really can't do knife making without. Alright, this guy, coming in at number 2. This is probably no surprise if you've watched very much knife making. This is a Harbor Freight 1x30 little belt grinder, belt sander, whatever they advertise it as. This is a great little machine, so if you're not willing to spend $1,000 or however much it is, like I'm personally not because I'm a budget person, $1,000 is way out of the range of realisticness for me. So this 1x30, I got it at $55 at Harbor Freight. There's a couple other companies that make similar grinders to these, but it really does do good. Belts are maybe $1 a piece. If you buy the cheaper ones, you can also buy more expensive ones, like Combat Abrasives makes some that are more for knife making, ceramic belts, yada yada. But these work really, really well. It's very surprising. I remember when I first got this, I really didn't have like super high expectations for it, but man, does it feel good to hog off metal with one of these, because at least from what I expected, you put a good belt on one of these and it'll move some metal. So you can do, there's a lot of different modifications you can do. I have one posted on my channel that involves a table, so you can angle it. You can do bevels on here fairly clean. You've also got a little piece of slack right here where you can do convex edges. You can use this as a contact wheel if you really want to. Again, you know, it's not perfect. You're going to have to jerry-rig some stuff. But this is an excellent purchase. I was kind of nervous about it because it is one of the more expensive. It's $55, like I said, compared to, you know, clamps are $2, $3, $4 here or there if you get them at a resale store. Same thing with files. You can find them really cheap, maybe $10 for a pack that'll do fairly well. But this guy, this is a game changer. So this is one of the most important of the top 5. So next up, number 1, the most important tool you could get for knife making, in my opinion, at least in the beginning. You can make an entire knife, pretty much start to finish, bevels, shaping it, everything like that. And there's a plethora of videos of other people doing that. On YouTube is Angle Grinder. The Angle Grinder is a beast. This thing can move metal. You can get flat discs for it. You can get cut-off discs for it. You can get grinding discs. Anything that you want, this thing can pretty much do in knife making. The only thing it cannot do is like a heat treat. And I'm sure maybe somebody's figured that out too. They just get it hot enough. But either way, exceptional tool. It is dangerous. I have a whole video dedicated to, you know, just some safety tips with these because they are dangerous. You can seriously hurt yourself. But this guy, man, if I was to buy anything, so I think this was $70. This is the DeWalt, I don't know the exact model, but either way, this was on the upper end of these angle grinders. You do not need to do that though. Like, you can go into a Harbor Freight and you can buy one for probably as low as like $30, maybe cheaper on Amazon, stuff like that, and they work. I mean, you're not doing some crazy, I don't know, skyscraper construction with an angle grinder, but for cutting a 1/8 inch piece thick, or 1/8 thick piece of steel, this will do the job really, really well. For beveling, it'll do it well, all that stuff. So this guy here is the number 1 tool. If I only had one tool out of all the stuff I have acquired by now to keep, it would be this one. This is the most important. So as promised, everything that I've showed here today, I'll try and kind of give a little bit of a rundown on prices. As far as clamps and files and stuff like that, those are totally miscellaneous. You can choose to buy those brand new, which I have some that I purchased new, some that I purchased at, you know, maybe a flea market, resale stores, blah, blah, blah. You'd be kind of surprised how much this stuff pops up for and how cheap it is. The most expensive was the angle grinder, coming in at I think $70. Belt sander at $55-ish. Drills can run, I mean, that one is just an old one we had at the house. So personally, I didn't actually buy that one. But the newer DeWalt, I mean, they can be expensive, but you don't really need, because drills are kind of on like a 2-year life cycle. I would get a middle of the road. I mean, maybe not the cheapest one you can get, but if you, probably $120, you'd be getting a darn good one, I would think. I mean, I don't know, I'm not a drill expert, but either way, I think in totality for under $400, you could absolutely get into making knives. And that might seem kind of high to some, kind of low to others, but just as you go, I mean, you can make it work with 1 or 2 or 3 of these tools. So if you could only buy one, I say start with number 1, start with that angle grinder, or 1x30 is a pretty close second. That's pretty darn close, but other than that, I mean, just make it work. You don't have to have all the billion-dollar shops that you see some of these people have, where it's just like, man, everything is perfect. Looks like they do this for a living, because probably they do. But if you're just doing it for fun, if you're doing it, you know, as just a little side thing, you can make do with whatever you have. It's really not that complicated. The last thing I'll mention, somebody might say it in the comments here, is that I didn't include anything for heat treating the knife. If you'd like, I can post a video on that as well. How anyone can heat treat pretty much with what you should have at your house. Like, I'm not going to say everyone has a fire pit or everyone can do this or that, but if you can make a fire and you have the patience, you can absolutely heat treat a knife. You just water and fire. So if you want, I can do a video on that, but I didn't include that in the cost. There is other stuff that goes into that, so you can make a forge, you can make other stuff. Also have a video on how to make a forge on my channel. So anyway, that's all I've got for you guys today. I hope you have a good one. Stay safe. The world's kind of crazy right now, but that's all I got. Check out the channel for more.